Today, I'm going to answer a question I get asked at least 2 to 3 times a week. That question, how do I start my own freight brokerage company? That's the topic of today's Freight Broker TV. Hey, how you doing? This is Mike. My name is Mike anyway. This is Freight Broker TV. Going to be talking today about how you can start your own brokerage, what you need to do, what you need to think about. A lot of people, they call every week asking me, hey, Mike, how do I start my own brokerage? Well, obviously, we always recommend start out as an agent. That gives you the opportunity to gain the experience, build your customer base, become operational before you take on the weight of the world. Because once you become the broker, all the responsibility is yours. You're responsible / liable for every part of your operation. You've got to pay the trucks. You got to bill the shippers. You got to chase the money. You got to approve the credit. You got to approve the carriers. A lot to go on there. So that's, you get a pretty good feel for it when you start out as an agent, gain the experience, and move forward. If you'd like to talk to me more about that, you can call me at Taltoa, TALTOA.com. You can call me at 479-668-0838. Now, first and foremost, first thing you want to do is you will want to create your corporation, your business entity. You never want to do a freight brokerage as a sole proprietor, nor do you want to put your freight brokerage under an existing corporation, sharing the corporation with another business. What I'm getting at here, mainly if you are a trucking company, you've got your trucking company incorporated, you do not want to put your brokerage under that same corporation. And the reason is liability issues. Not to wish bad or ill on anybody or anything like that, but it's business. If your truck was in an accident and you got sued, well, if your brokerage is under the same corporation, your brokerage will be open to that lawsuit as well, and vice versa. If something went wrong with the brokerage and you were sued, caught up in a lawsuit, your trucking company would be under the same corporation, so it'd be open to that lawsuit as well. So, start your own corporation. Next thing you got to do is file the paperwork. The paperwork is, it's quite extensive. Okay, if you don't know what you're doing, it can be a nightmare. We always recommend for our clients, contract someone to do that for you, a process agent to do that for you. They will fill out the paperwork, make sure everything's correct on it, so that when it's filed, no hiccups. If you try to fill it out yourself, you failed across the T, dot an I, could come back, and you can end up paying more filing fees. So it's always good to have a process agent, allow them to do that for you. So that way, when the authority has been issued and the agent tells you, hey, you're good to go, you're legal. Now, the other thing is going to be your $75,000 property broker surety bond. Now, a lot of people will tell you that you can file your application before the bond, and yeah, you can do that, but your application will be filed, processed, but your authority will not be active till you add a bond to it. The $75,000 bond has to be associated with your authority in order for your authority to be active. So if you wait to file the authority, you're looking at 3 to 5 weeks later, possibly it could take that long, before the FMCSA, files your paperwork, gets everything put together where they actually activate your authority. BOC3 and your UCR. Okay, your process agent will handle all that for you. Basically, the BOC3 is your legal agent as far as that goes for your company. So anything coming from the government is going to go to the BOC3. Your BOC3 gets it. Basically, that is the same as you getting it. So there is none of this, I never got it. Okay, get the idea? Okay, it must have got lost in the mail. That's not going to fly. Not with the BOC3. UCR, your Unified Carrier Registration, you got to file for that just like a carrier. Even though you're not a carrier, yes, you will have to file for that. Now, that is just to be legal. If you're filing for your authority, you file everything together. yeah, you're looking at 3 to 5 weeks before your authority is granted and you can begin your operation, but not so quick. You're going to want other things as well. Let's talk about insurance, first of all. Even though you're not required to have insurance as a broker, you're going to want it. Generally, it's going to be general liability, contingent cargo, and errors and omissions. Okay. And general liability, it just impresses your customer. You're going to find it's easier to get a customer with it. A lot of your customers are going to want it. Even though you're not required to have it, shippers want to know that they've got that little layer of extra protection when they're dealing with a broker that has general liability insurance, usually $1 million. Now, I have seen some shippers require more than that, but as a general rule, $1 million, that's a good place to start. Now, I would not go out here and get a $1 million general liability insurance policy, at least not until I had a customer I knew I was going to make money with that required it. Okay. Second of all, your errors and omissions insurance. Errors and omissions will protect you with the contracts. As being a freight broker, you are a business of contracts. You want to make sure you get that insurance. So if for whatever reason you omit something on a load confirmation to a carrier, well, here's an example. Okay, several years ago, I had a client. They did the load confirmation for a carrier. It was a load of aluminum pipe, picking up at point A, going to point B. The load was supposed to be tarped. The broker failed to put that the load needed to be tarped on the load confirmation to the carrier. The carrier did not tarp the load. Load got to the destination, and the whole load was refused, and the broker had to buy it because the load was not tarped. What had happened, it was a load of aluminum pipe, and in transport, it oxidized and turned pink. Errors and omissions insurance. Since there was an error, the tarping was omitted from the load confirmation on the original load confirmation to the carrier. The errors and omissions insurance kicked in to help pay the cost of that load. So you see what that's about. That's very important. Now, something else you'll probably want this to start from the word get-go, is going to be your contingent cargo insurance. Contingent cargo insurance, it's a low-level, inexpensive commercial insurance policy for a broker that's going to run you about $1,200 a year, give or take. Basically, what it's for is to, should the carrier's insurance not pay for a load that there was an insurance claim on, the contingent cargo would step in and help offset the cost. Okay, so that's another layer of protection for your customer. The main thing is with the contingent cargo, when you send your paperwork to the customer, the shipper, they're going to be looking through your packet, and that's what they're looking for is insurance. So a lot of times that contingent cargo will help you get started and make it easier for you to get customers. A lot of other things you're going to have. You're going to have your TMS, that is your transportation management system, basically your freight broker software. Okay, as far as that goes, you're going to have to be thinking about too, are you going to be using agents, outside agents, or are you going to have employees that are agents? You got to think about this because there's an additional cost for each individual seats, as they call them, that have access to your freight broker software. Same for your load boards. Which load boards are you going to use? Generally, we recommend 3 in training, but the main load boards you're going to want, obviously, will be DAT. That's the granddaddy of the load boards. All right. This kind of gives you a brief overview of what you're going to need, what you're going to want to do, and something to think about as well. Now, something you will not want to do, and I know there's a lot of freight broker training schools out there that just yell this from the highest mountain. Factoring company. You don't need money, you need a factoring company. Do not use a factoring company. Matter of fact, in our next video, we're going to be talking about a factoring company. All right, take it easy. Have a good day, and we'll talk soon.